Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into episode 15. Now, we've got another guest from Time to Roleplay, another very successful streamer. So we're going to keep with the momentum that we've got going. It's proven to be very, very good. The exposure is unreal and we're having great fun with it. So we would like to, I can't pronounce the name completely. I think we're going to find out it's like Saf. I'm going to ask him myself. I call him Saf, or you'll know him as Rupert, the most hated cop in 5M. We will introduce him now and he can tell you the name himself.
Yo, how are we doing?
Yo,
everyone?
how do you say your name?
So it's Saphirici.
Saphirici.
Yeah. I know it doesn't read that way, but I was 9 when I made it, so I'm hoping I get a bit of a.
That's some dedication. That is.
Yeah. Well, it's actually my brother that came up with it. We were making our RuneScape usernames, in like 2004. So yeah.
I bet you were like a demon at that, weren't you?
No, I was always terrible at it. Actually, genuinely terrible at the game. I'm useless.
Really?
Yeah, seriously useless. Yeah.
So one thing before we started, you don't know who Martin is in roleplay, and I have to get out of the way. Do you have no idea?
Maybe he's like your 2IC in the firm. I'm guessing. I'm not sure. Go on.
So I've got a couple of characters.
Yeah.
One is a Jamaican character who you have come across.
Okay.
I do believe you're with Declan and Sanka, and you pulled me over.
Yeah. Okay.
You remember?
That's one of them. And then
remember when you said, "I'm ringing Cosney King right now"?
Yeah, I think so. Quite a while ago now. But
yeah, it was a little while ago.
Jafakan, wasn't it?
Yeah, Jafakan.
That's
him.
Yeah, he's Rastafari lying or something.
Yeah, that's it. That's
so good.
And then so I'm in the PD as well. I'm Bog Hunter.
Oh, Bog Hunter. Yeah. Okay, cool. Wicked.
So I float around.
It's quite cool though that people don't know, isn't it?
But you know what? That's how I prefer it. I really like
generally
just speaking under the radar. I dip in and out of streams.
Yeah,
it's perfect. There's no malice. There's no hate. Do you know what I mean? It's ideal.
Sure. Yeah.
If they knew who you were, there would be hate.
I did get banned from your stream.
Yeah, I don't know. I find that the amount of like hate, like OOC in Time 2, there's not that much of it. And I say that as someone that's probably at the forefront of a lot of the kind of hate defining moments, I would say. And being someone that tries to kind of push like a more serious angle within kind of like police role play, I think, I kind of open myself to a lot of that, but it's not been that bad.
No, it's actually all right, to be fair.
It's not that bad, no.
Compared to other places where if you accidentally crash into somebody, for example, you've got 20 people coming in saying, "Oh, you're a fucking idiot. You're going to get banned." Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
Here, everyone's just like, "Low."
No
that's
pixel.
Kind of it,
No pixel for that is unreal. That sort of stuff.
Lucky. I never really got into any conflict when I played Pixel. I've got a Civ character that is never going to hear back about his PD app, apparently. And then I've got a gang character who was selling drugs for the manor. And I was lucky to never really get into anything that would really cause that,
How old are you, Saf?
28. Just turned 29. 29.
You just turned 29. And so with your streaming career, how long have you been doing it for?
So I started streaming in lockdown. I was originally streaming Tarkov back in 2020. And then stopped because I had a full-time job and I was seeing someone or whatever, and then kind of got back into it again. I said to myself in like December 2022, I was like, I'm going to take this seriously and I'm going to be partnered by the end of next year. So it would have been New Year's just gone. And I streamed every single day for 6 months and I got partnered in 5 months flat.
Oh, wow. And where was that? Was that UG, was it?
That was UG, yeah, United Gaming, yeah. So shout out those guys. They're incredible. It's a great server.
Yeah, and do you develop for them or something?
Yeah, I do some bits and bobs. I haven't done some bits for a while. They're in the middle of cooking up something kind of new and very fresh that they're working on. And because I'm not playing there, I'm not really kind of clued into that. But I've done quite a lot of development work for them on the TMC platform, yeah. Yeah,
because I saw you one day doing like, I don't know if it was cars or something on the stream. Was it mostly weapons? Was it weapons?
At the moment, yeah, that's kind of like I would say my niche, but it's not particularly difficult. It's kind of like it's like XML and like meta editing, and it's anyone can really learn to do it. But I enjoy like script work. That's really interesting. I never really learned to do like the front end like UI stuff. I think once you start learning to do that, that's when your ability as a developer to like be useful to communities and come in and be helpful. Like it's UI, like UI experience and that whole UIX stuff is huge. And so yeah,
I think anyone that can edit a config calls themselves a dev these days, don't you? But you're not, unless you can.
Config devs, right?
Yeah, which you are, aren't you?
You're not a config dev. Do you know what I mean?
You're not a developer. If I can do it,
yeah.
Like fuck me, you've got to have no arms and legs, and you'll still be able to do it. You know, it's not hard, is it?
Yeah, your config devs are kind of here, and then you've got people who are capable of doing like QOL work and fixes and that kind of stuff. And I would put that kind of here. And then I would say you've got people who are able to like convert or work on their own like back-end projects, but specifically ones that link into existing like menus and designs and stuff. They're not making their own, full-on front-end stuff. And then you've got the, the creme de la creme, which is your people making your, doing all your JavaScript, your TypeScript, all that stuff.
That's proper devs, isn't it? People that make a script and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, making scripts is one thing. Like having a project, for example, I don't know, saying, we've got, we'd like you to make a towing job, for example, and then going and doing that and making a towing job. That's one thing. I'm confident I could do that. That would be fine. But if it was like go and make a gang laptop script, pass.
Just
pass. Yeah, any of the UI stuff, it pass.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff they're doing in time too, like
it's really interesting.
It's nuts how they're all doing it, and it's all custom. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So I'm going to assume that this is your full-time job now, is it?
Correct. Yeah. So as of the 1st of June this year, I quit my job. I worked in commercial property as a facilities manager, and yeah, I quit my job, and I'm now doing this full time.
You've done it from the 1st of June.
Yeah, this year. Yeah.
And so from a streamer to another streamer, how do you find it in like terms of surviving of being a streamer?
The first couple of months was tough, and I think a big part of that was I was kind of lying to myself. I think that I could do full time in a community as small as and as kind of I don't want to say incestuous, but that's what I mean. It is as small and tight knit as UG. It didn't have as many eyes on it. It wasn't really doable. So once Time 2 came out, it was actually, fun enough, it was the owner of UG, Cam, who said to me, like, bro, I love you to bits, but like you're trying to do this full time and you're killing yourself. Doing 2 streams a day of 4 hours, doing editing in between, etc., etc. You need to go where the views are, and that's going to be Time 2. So go and give it a go, bro. So I am.
That's nice that they've supported you, because nobody wants to lose. Firstly, streamers.
Yeah.
And secondly, players. I know UG does well anyway.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
But for an owner and whatnot, say, go and do you. Go and excel your career. Don't hold yourself back. I think that's really nice.
Like Cam and I and a lot of the guys in management there, etc., we've developed a relationship where we are friends before that side of it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, and Cam Ninja, who their lead dev is there, and Liv and all the guys there, like they're unreal. And as I say, they're my friends before they're management or owners of a server. So.
And how are you, like? Because I'm guessing you've taken a big jump as well, because of the character that you play is very.
Yeah. He's very. Yeah.
I don't even know what do you. I don't know how to describe it. An arsehole.
Yes and no, right? It's like this idea of someone who's tough, but there's an element of consistency and fairness. That it might not feel as though, to any one person, particularly if you feel as though, it's like, oh my God, it's him again. And I'm sure there are people at the moment who feel like that. I'm sure you felt like that sometimes. And I know, Amazing RP, she's in the moment, she's kind of getting it in the neck from Rupert a bit. Her character is anyway, Mona. And so he's very much like a dog with a bone in that, he'll keep going and keep going and keep going. And his tactic is very much like apply pressure, let people make a mistake, and then apply more pressure. And let's see what happens.
I can't even lie to you. It does infuriate me sometimes. But when you step away, I will always say, no, you need it. You need 100%. Someone like that. Yeah. And the character's fucking hilarious.
It's so funny to play. Yeah.
Brilliant.
In the heat of the moment, the character is so infuriating.
And the voice is so jarring. Like all of it just makes you just. Yeah. It's such a punchable concept. of just like, shut up. Do you know what I mean? Is what you want to say and do, and it's just you can't, or you can, but there's a consequence.
Yeah,
I think if Rupert ever died, it would be
a party in the
boring.
street. Yeah, but there'd be a party in the street, but it would be boring. Yeah.
Well, no, but there'd be a party, but it'd be like, oh, okay, because you are that. This is the thing with PD, and it's nice to have you on here actually to discuss it, because I know a lot of the viewers are going to be from time too.
Yeah, of course.
And you know yourself, like you have your character, and then behind the scene, it's like me kicking off yesterday, but you behind the camera going, well, he is right. They're not being taken out, the cadets and stuff.
Yeah.
So how do you feel with like PD? How do you want PD to be yourself in time?
Great question. I think it's impossible to have. So we want to avoid the concept of robotic policing. But the thing about robotic policing is that if you have a robotic PD, then that's cops doing the same thing, or police role players doing the same thing with different characters. As long as they're all doing the same thing, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, too much of anything is a bad thing. And so you need chaos. You need chaotic characters. You need characters who are by the book. You need characters who are difficult. You need people who are willing to lie on a rooftop for 4 hours and enjoy that and get their enjoyment out of the kind of deep, high consequence stuff. And you also need people that are willing to push the boundaries. You need all of those things. It's in essence, it's like a gang, except it's a gang with 150 people, and you need different things. You need your grinders, you need your shooters, you need your hackers, you need this, that, the third. But most importantly, with police as role-play facilitators, as opposed to necessarily creators or the creative side of roleplay, you need people who understand their role is to simply facilitate, like end of. And so that means it kind of closes down the boundary of what people can do. What I think PD is now is quite messy, honestly, and it's hard, I
would agree with you there. I think as well, just going back to the whole robotic policing side of things, I watch a lot of streams. I watch a lot back. I see a lot throughout the day. And do you know what the single most thing that infuriates me is? When you pull up to a shop robbery and they go, I want free passage and no spike strips. Like, I can almost write it for you line for line. What's going to happen? Yes, some of the chases go on 40 minutes an hour, different just jumps and things like that. Why is nobody sitting there saying, right, free passage and spike strips because we both want the same outcome of, a chase, XYZ. But I want you all to go in reverse for the whole chase, spice things up a little bit. Maybe that's a bit extreme. Yeah,
no, absolutely.
But
I think
use your brain and don't just be a bot.
So I think that's where I come from. The concept that you're going to be allowed to get into your car and leave the area is essentially allowed, provided you don't harm the hostage. Yeah. That's the concept. So if you agree that you're not going to harm that person, I'm going to let you in roleplay get in that car and start driving. What happens after that is down to your actions and how I feel about them in character, right?
Yeah.
Whoever's right behind you. So if you start driving and you start doing dumb shit, or I feel as though my character feels as though you're doing dumb shit, you're going to get a dumb response. And it's like, that's literally how that works. The thing is that the whole hostage thing within roleplay is just this like implied circumstance, right? Where it's like, I have something, you can't do anything about it. And it almost essentially is like the most accepted form of power gaming that we allow in roleplay, outside of actual police action, right? And we'll get onto, I'm sure, how the police are literally the most power gamey thing in any roleplay server, but they have to be. Yeah. Is that the idea that someone has a hostage and they're therefore completely untouchable? Well, we want that almost most of the time in roleplay, but at the same time, we know that that's not a good system to have. We know that's not good. We know that power situations with no counterplay are bad for roleplay, and yet we know, understand, and accept that in any given hostage situation, people are going to be upset if it doesn't go the way I get what I want.
I personally think with Time 2 being American-based, I think especially now moving forwards, you should not take any hostage scene seriously unless it's a gun, personally. Because, like, if you've got a baseball bat to a police officer, you're surrounded by 5 officers, realistically, it's bang, lights out.
Oh, we're talking the time difference, right? I'm with you. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm if you've got a bat to an officer
Mhm.
and you're saying this, fuck off. There's enough guns in the
Swing a
city
knife
now.
versus a taser. Yeah.
Yeah, so you've got enough guns in the city now, right? If you want to take an officer hostage, you need to bring some sorcery up. Bring a gun,
Yeah.
and then you are showing us you're not messing about. You have some power in the city, hopefully. And it's the same with shops. You go to a shop, you take a gun, because otherwise, do you know what I mean? But it is tricky.
I like where you're going with that, but my concern, and the thing is that with the shop robberies, the way they've done it is that they haven't made hostage scenarios the bottom barrier to entry for criminality. There's a lot of criminal things that you can do that will evoke a police response that don't require you to have a hostage, and that's a great thing. It's not a petty crime, I think, is a way to call it.
100%.
And the second that you start going into hostage taking, you're essentially on that kind of heist chain, right? Because as we know in roleplay, the shop robberies. I'm not going to go any further. We know that that's the beginning of that progression system. So I like the fact that they've detrivialized hostage taking. So maybe I agree with you. I don't know. I don't want to exclude people. That's my flip side, though. If you have a character who for whatever reason doesn't use firearms, or doesn't have access to them, does that mean that you shouldn't get the role play and the content of a shop robbery? Maybe not. I think that's too niche for me.
It's a really tricky one. It's a really tricky one, and I'm sure
robbery. I agree with you.
Yeah, yeah. To be fair, you're probably onto something there. Moving on to the jewelry store and stuff.
Yeah,
I think you're actually onto there something. Right, it's a shop, whatever. But like Salim earlier was at PD, took an officer hostage with a bat. It depends how you want the server and stuff, but there has to be a level of fear for police. That should never happen.
Yeah, it needs to be healthy, right? And it's important. It's about creating an environment where we understand expectations in those situations, right? And I think people say people get treated differently. It's something that comes up a lot. And I watch a lot of content back. For example, I'll sit and I'll say this happily. There's a situation that happened with Moist Boys yesterday. I sat until 5 o'clock this morning watching every single person's content that I could get hold of from that entire situation, because I want to better understand what people are looking for going into and coming out of their situations, because I want them to be able to make better content. I want to be able to make better content. I want everyone simply to have fun and to promote good role play. My style of role play doesn't necessarily always lean well into other people making the kind of content they want to make. Now, Salim is a great example of someone where I shift my style of role play because I understand what he's trying to do. It makes sense to me. I get it.
I think, and well, you yourself do both, and Martin as well does both, and myself.
Yeah.
PD are still there to have fun, so that I will stick up for PD. Like you said earlier about the power game. PD have a lot of stuff that genuinely make them very powerful.
Absolutely. Yep.
So they have a huge advantage.
Yep.
But PD still want to shoot you in the head, just like any other gang that wants to have a shootout. Everyone wants to do it, but they're almost so restricted with so many rules and stuff, and even like a fight and stuff like that. The people playing in PD would love to have a scrap in the street or a shootout, but it feels like a lot of the times you're not allowed. Like even me earlier with Salim, he had a gun and he was taking the mick for 10 minutes. Should I, because he's a big content creator, can I not shoot him in the head? Should I allow what he's doing? It's true.
Blow his head off.
Here's the beauty of it is that your character has options, and I think I'm assuming here that I know you guys played Pixel, but long term, your history is UK roleplay, is it not? I believe.
Yeah.
And UK role players, I'm sure you will both agree, isn't as good for roleplay. Simply put, right? The powers that the police, for example, have in England is so much more powerful than it is in America. Key case in point. Excuse me. If I think that if I suspect you're doing a crime, if I'm role playing as a British cop, I can stop, detain, and search you like that.
Yeah.
And I don't have to articulate. I'm going to have a lawyer come down and press me on my articulation of my reasonable suspicion. It's not going to happen. I had suspicion, this car, that car in the area, yada yada. if I get my RS or PC wrong in an American server, which is reasonable suspicion, probable cause, it gets thrown out. They walk. I have to be able to articulate that. And so, going back to what you were saying about, my character has choices. Your character has, I was saying that your character has choices. So if you are in that situation with Salim, you can talk him down. You can shoot him if you want. If your character in that situation goes enough's enough, shoot him.
Yeah.
But understand that there's a consequence in roleplay. If it goes wrong,
you're
gonna affirm that. Well, you're probably gonna try and worm your way out of it, but there should be a consequence in roleplay.
I will.
I would suggest, Cos, that you do not shoot anyone for the next 2 weeks.
But I will say I have had the most boring day ever on PD today.
Yeah, by following SOPs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. It's boring. Why do you think I'm in trouble all the time?
Yeah, but moving forward, and this is like interesting to hear from yourself. What do we want PD? Because the server is, in my opinion, it's a content server. It's one of the owners is the #1 UK streamer. It's a content server. Everyone's there to have fun. Most people are there to make content for themselves and improve their life.
Yeah.
So, like you say, your character's very by the book, knows his shit. But then, like you say, you adapt to people around you. So let's say I want to go in and blow off steam because I take the gang life seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I still have rules to follow, but like, it's hard to say.
I would argue, if I may, that you taking the gang life seriously is great, right? I think that we need police officers mostly who take policing seriously. Mm-hmm. And then once we've got that and we've got people who are good at doing that, then we can have the people that kind of color in and fill the gaps. And so someone like a Peter Dearth is more appropriate for a PD and does better in a PD that is established and actually has seriousness and stuff going for it. And then it's you're a content creator within PD, which is itself a facilitator of roleplay and content as it goes, because you're a wild card. And a good example of that is someone like HQ's characters, Rich Chicky and Fart, because they're very good at both towing the line and also making those wild content moments at the same time. So I think it's really choosing your moments and choosing your battles, but it's also you can be very unfortunate. You can essentially, on police, you can go and have a bit of fun, and the person that you had that bit of fun with, that funny roleplay scene, can sue you.
Do you think personally that's correct? Do you think that's right?
It's ratty, isn't it? I think regardless.
Yeah.
I think right or wrong, it just is.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And right or wrong, it simply just is. And that is tough.
I think the problem.
Go on.
Sorry, go on. No, I think the problem is like with the likes of Solomon and Mickey.
Yeah.
They can be as realistic as lawyers as they want, and they do a phenomenal job. Mm-hmm. You've got 10 minutes to write a report, realistically, haven't you? Yeah. If you're lucky, and you miss a car reg, you miss the color of a car, or like you say, in my opinion, that makes things incredibly boring for PD, because you ideally need to put in this is what happened. This is what I saw quickly, and this is how it ended. Not Thingy was seen in a yellow saloon. This is the registration plate.
So
here's
I actually
a picture.
don't think you need to do that. This is the interesting thing: is that the way that people are taught to do this, and it is different to how I would teach people to do this. And that's that. If I bring Cosney King into the cells and I've got him on I don't know, I'll give you an example. Reckless evading, shop robbery, and a hostage taking, right? So then I've got those 3 charges, and I need to know in my head what are like my burdens of proof. What do I need to be able to put in this report to get him charged, to make me write the fewest amount of words to get a guilty plea, right?
Yeah.
Or to get a guilty verdict in court. And so for that, we arrived on scene. There was a male going through the registers while someone else held a hostage. He then drove the car. So I've got you burden of proof you were going through the registers. I've got you that you drove the car. I've got you as accessory to hostage taking. Tick, tick, tick. I've written 4 sentences.
Yeah.
Now, I don't need the photo of the car. I don't need this, that, the third. I don't need a lot of things at that point because I've very quickly articulated as efficiently as possible what you've done wrong or what what offenses you've broken. And so report writing goes from 3 paragraphs to bullet points.
Yeah.
Officer King arrived. Officer Death arrived. Officer saw this. This male did that. This male did that. This male was identified as this person. Bosh. Those are the charges. That's what he did. 1, 2, 3. Tick. You want to argue it? Let's go to court.
And the good thing, you need without lawyers, you just need a PD with a high command will go, if you put reckless evading and speeding, you've got police here that will go, that's wrong. It's just reckless evading.
I hope that we all do that. I hope that we all do that. And I really do think that everyone, I could be wrong, but as far in my experience, almost everyone, like corporal and above in PD, sees stacking going on. And we go, oh, is that stacking? I even ask myself, like, it was again the situation yesterday. So, kidnapping of an official, the person who does a getaway driving for that, are they an accessory to that crime? If they were like a pickup driver further down the road, do you see what I'm saying? If they weren't on scene, are they an accessory? Yeah. And I thought to myself, no, I can't. It's not fair. It's not right for me to try and push that, and it's not going to go anywhere. And more importantly, Solomon's going to walk right through me, so I won't bother.
How do you feel? Well, I suppose I could ask you in an Ian character and an OOC perspective.
Yeah.
How do you feel with how intense the lawyers are against PD running like a criminal organization as well? Like, considering how much pressure they put on PD, they're no better. Well, far worse, obviously.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. I think it's tough because obviously, especially with Dust being such a big content creator and such a fantastic role player, I think that the biggest issue with it is that they have to leave breadcrumbs. They have to. Because it's not the same way as a gang who are on a block selling drugs, doing this, that, the third, having shootouts, arguing over colors, yada, 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 who are consistently committing offenses. This is, in role play, something a lot more sordid and a lot more, twisted and hidden and kind of old school criminality, right? I think that and I'm sure that they will over time. I think that it is important for them to leave breadcrumbs. I do, from an OOC perspective, and they can be tiny. And to give Solomon his due, in the first major Solomon corruption situation, he left me a massive fucking breadcrumb because it could only have been him. That's the reason we're suspicious of him in PD to begin with. Because it could.
What is that out of interest? Because I know what that is.
Yeah. So, do you remember when the docs situation, right?
Yeah.
And you'll know, I know this from obviously OOC, not in character, that Solomon went around to all of the gangs in person, showed up on your blocks and said, this guy's a snitch, this has happened, don't go there, right? So there's a window of about half an hour, 40 minutes where Rupert doesn't have eyes on Solomon. We come back. The only people who knew, depending on, thin walls or whatever, was like him, Jimbo, and like 1 or 2 other people. And so kind of off the back of that, we sit there and we go, okay, well, who is it? Is it Fionn O'Malley? Is it? I know it's not me. I probably think it's not O'Malley. Jimbo isn't going to tell everyone he's just snitched because I've got his fucking phone. So
well, Jimbo probably would though.
Well, he couldn't because I had his phone. So it's like,
what's really funny, right? So that was when Solomon was quite new. So as a lawyer, he had to go, this is what I can do.
He sold it. He
OOC,
sold himself to all of you.
That was never going ahead anyway.
Was it not?
No.
Interesting.
He didn't shut it down.
It had already been shut down, had it?
It was never going to happen.
Right. Okay.
So he's kind of shot himself in the foot because he's gone, right, I'm the lawyer, this is my retainer, and I will also pass you information. Now he's got a gold mine. He's gone round and told everyone that and then gone boom. But on the flip side, with what O'Malley done for me and the way that I've spun stuff in roleplay, you could now flip this and start looking into him.
Well, exactly, and that's what we've done. And there is an operation. I'll talk. I would say much more than that, but there is an operation going on into corruption within the bar association, big time. There is, and
which is fun though, isn't it?
It's super fun. And I'm very lucky to be kind of involved on the fringes of that. And but I also, the character I play is very good at taking like a front facing approach onto this stuff in order to draw attention to himself and hopefully to draw attention away from those who are actually doing the investigating. That's my tactic, right? That's what I've done,
and it works. It does work.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Does,
Actually, how it works.
Yeah.
So, Bahama Mamas, right? I put in that. I had that situation with Rupert where he was investigating Bahama Mamas. That created so much wonderful role play and conflict. We then go and get an agreement with Bahama Mamas where Rupert is going to stop his investigation. Units have been undercover in there for the last 2 weeks. We've got them. Thanks to rights. We can close it anytime we want.
Yeah.
That place is open because we want it to be open.
And do you think in role play you should have the power to shut that place down for an X amount of time? I agree.
I think forever, in fact. I think yes.
We
Particularly
don't need it.
Particularly with the system that's been added, which it seems no one has found yet, the money washing runs off the back of the washing machines. I was the one that put the suggestion in. It's ripped from no Pixel.
Oh yeah,
like
yeah,
the content is, right? But it was great on Pixel for the first few months, and it created so much good conflict. And if you had 5 people in your gang who weren't going to come on and grind house robberies and materials or diving for you, but they'd love to come on and have a bit of a scrap, then you could put those 5 people to do your money washing runs for your runners, and they get to be in gunfights once a day, and they're happy. But they've got something they can do that is useful to the gang that drives, your economy and your relationships, but it plays to their strengths in role. And so that's why it's good.
I do think in time too we do need more organized crime, and especially with so many content creators from a criminal, and like this is one thing myself that I'm really struggling with. My record's not bad, and I managed to wiggle out of most things so far.
We were drunk, which saved you really a lot of pain.
Well, I'm pretty sure I was drunk as well, so it wouldn't have happened.
Yes, I think you and me, we were both drunk. Yeah.
So,
between that and Rupert's iron head.
Yeah. But I think we need more fun for PD, because me being on PD as well, it's good for me to improve me.
Yeah.
Because you go into a shop, what do you want? No spike strips. You go to an AC unit. Oh, I'm just here to change the vent.
Yeah.
You're at the graves. Oh, Nana. From a PD point of view, personally, it's fucking soul destroying.
Yeah.
But how many stories can you make up?
Sure, but your job is to poke holes and to facilitate, right? As a cop, and I think that it can be demonized, this idea that a police officer just doesn't believe you. They've had enough of these stories, and they've been told it 10 times today, and they don't believe you. And the unfortunate person that's on that rooftop when they don't believe you is getting nicked, and that's just unlucky. And so and we can be creative about the ways we go about it. And you're not, in my opinion, you're not being a bad role player if given enough information as a cop and having seen it enough times and your kind of learned and lived experience, you just go, cut the shit.
Yeah,
I know what's going on here. And then they have to scramble and go, okay, well, hang on a second. And then that's when the role play happens.
I think what is fun as well, like Curtis is quite good for this. And this is about knowing who you're up against. And obviously me on Crim is knowing this now. If you turn up and Curtis goes, what's going on? You go, Curtis, I am nicking these machines. 99% of the time I go, cool, I'm off.
Really?
Yeah, because Curtis is a very do not bullshit me. So I will fucking destroy you.
That's interesting.
So and I'm not throwing him under the bus because
no, it's interesting.
I'm trying to figure out.
He's a rat.
Yeah, but that's interesting because that's not the perspective that my character certainly has of him at all. The perspective that my character has of him is that he, in that situation, would kind of go after you as any normal cop would. But when you get to the cells, he would, you could stab 5 cops and he would charge you with one of them.
But how many people tell him the truth? That's why you wouldn't assume that of him.
True, valid, and because I'm not there seeing that either on my Crim character, which I'm not playing that much, but or on my PD character either. So yeah.
I think that's good. Like with you have to, and it's the same with Crims. You have to know what you're up against. Like the firm, we put ourselves in position to get a load of shit because you are confident coming down. You're not going to be shot.
Yeah,
which fucks us, but it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? But you coming down and getting shot is no fun for anyone, really, is it?
No, for sure. For sure.
But
it forces us. The thing is, and I think it's why it can look like nonsensical. Why PD would focus on a gang that don't shoot them quote on site. Not that any gang in Time 2 shoots us on site. And the reason for that is very simply is that you're roleplay focused, and so I want to get that roleplay with you.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like to your detriment almost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I know.
But the flip side of that is that you're never gonna, or at least I'm never going to let myself or let anyone take everything from you and ruin you, unless you put us in a circumstance to do that. Do you know what I mean? Unless we find out that you're the one funding the gangs going after PD, well then we go that hard and we go that extra mile and we do all those horrible things.
I think as well that I know it's really, really tricky behind the scenes, and like you say, from your position in UG, I'm sure you probably had a big influence and stuff.
Yeah.
I've had a
senior admin at one
server.
point. Like I've owned my own server. I've been a senior admin.
Yeah.
I've done all the dev work. Like I've seen it all.
You'll understand that you need risk and reward needs to be high, but especially with content, it is so tricky, isn't it? Because you want people to role play to a high gang level, and they need to fear the PD. But if you fear them too much, you're not going to get involved with them. Therefore, neither side's doing it. It's such a hard balance. But I do think in time too, things do need to step up a bit, with a PDR being a bit more ruthless. Shoot me down for saying it, but we need to be a bit scared, because PD can be very lenient.
I think that we should, and what I'm looking to do with Rupert at the moment is to keep turning that screw a little bit more and a little bit more, but doing it in a way that doesn't feel negative to people's roleplay. Hopefully, it means shooting people less. Actually, it will really surprise viewers and listeners to know that in the command chat today, I said I would like to remove tire shots from PD SOPs entirely, and that will surprise, I'm sure, a large quantity of people listening to this podcast. In roleplay, I'll use them because they're there, but I actually don't think they're good for RP at all.
No.
It's chases are such a tricky one.
Everything is situational.
Yeah.
If you've got something that's just being the biggest cock you've ever met, fuck them.
Yeah.
Honestly, fuck them. Send them down for whatever you want. Shoot the tires. Shoot the passengers. But if they're a genuine person and you're
getting fired in a week.
You can shoot them. Here's the beautiful thing about police roleplay is that in American police roleplay, why shoot the tires when if you are, if you're being a sufficient level of cockwomble, I can shoot you. So why shoot the tires and create this mess where you then run someone over and it's not really your fault because you've got no tires and we start stacking charges or whatever, when instead we can turn around and say, if you do that again, I'm going to shoot you in the face. And then they know. And it's a very clear system of like, hey, we've drawn a line now. I'm a roleplay facilitator and I'm happy for you guys to do kind of wild and crazy shit. But there's the red line. And if you want to step over it, be my guest.
I think with PD we've got some good streamers in PD.
Yeah.
But Crim will always overtake that, in my opinion, for creators. Now, but PD want their win as well, and they do deserve it. Now, you shooting someone is your win. You arresting someone is your win. A chase, you winning that chase is your win. The same as a criminal wants to escape. The PD's job is to catch you.
Yeah.
And they want to do that.
It's and it's a roleplay server, right? But I'm naturally a competitive person. And in sport, in games, etc. And so whilst we are role playing, we're role playing characters, and that needs to impact our characters' position, needs to impact our decision making. But ultimately, these situations come to a point in which it is skill based, driving, shooting, etc., or hacking, whatever those things are, and we are in direct competition with one another. But the important thing is to remember that if your role play ability shines through, we should stop competing on a skill level. We should go, oh, I don't want to compete with you on a skill level. You're trying to compete with me with your role play. Let's do that. Let's compete on a role play level and stop competing on a skill level. And that's why I enjoy the lawyer stuff at the moment so much. It's because it's... Go on.
Do you know what I think Time 2 really needs? And this is an idea that I don't know where I'd go with it. You need your own tablet, right? So to make it not realistic one bit, really, but you need your own turf tablet, and your PD fuck-ups remove rep. So you can use your rep to put pressure on a gang.
I would love the ability for us to try and apply more direct pressure to gangs. The whole turf thing concerns me. We did it in UG, and I think
I've done it myself. It's horrendous.
I think we ultimately learned that it wasn't the solution, and I don't know. For the record, I don't know that there is a solution. I really don't. But yeah, we were the guys that I think came up with the script that TMC put out, the territory script for TMC. If you've ever been on a TMC server that had it, that was our idea. The hexagons, that was based off of Sid Meier's Civilization 6. All of the hexagon style, that's all Cam, his brainchild originally, and then feeding that out to the devs and the guys at TMC, and they ran with it. Ultimately, you end up in a situation where roleplay just isn't encouraged.
Yeah,
and you get a situation whereby everyone can always have more, and because you can have it, you want it, and people then try and take it, and it becomes nonsensical.
It's like for yourself, like offenders, like Firm. I think there needs to be a PD currency where suing the PD for 100k is boring. You should call the rep Bitcoin. And if someone took you for court, maybe you could take 10 Bitcoin for yourself.
Right.
I mean, that would make things really fun. Not realistic, but
you abstract these things and take them away from having more, because this idea of having and possessing, which is something in roleplay that isn't ever good, most of the time anyway. It takes away. It makes things feel a lot more like GTL 9 and a lot less like roleplay, right? And so we are in a situation already, which is, I would say, I don't want to say worrying, because I think the devs, they know the trend, and I'm sure they know what they're up against and they're working on it. But I think we already are in a system whereby, like, money doesn't matter to crims. Like, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
The gang I'm in, the gang I'm not block touring OBT, who are down in the canals. Our leader, or one of our kind of underbosses, he bought a 640k car 4 days ago. If I'm not wrong, I think he has 350k in the bank.
Yeah, I
wouldn't be surprised at all.
It's not for lack of roleplay. They're out making deals with gangs, doing this, that, the third. He's organizing the runners and doing all of these different things, and he's not for lack of roleplay whatsoever. But in between those moments of roleplay and organization and leveling the gang up in those senses, he's grafting because he enjoys it.
Do you know what's really, really tricky as well? And again, I really sympathize with the devs, and I do feel sorry for them and the team behind it, because it's such a hard job. They've added this thing in where you can live off of cash, which is realistic, but you're not actually taking anything away from the big guys. You're taking zero other than time.
Sorry, the big guys. You mean like a you or a who?
Not even myself. Look at Salim. What does Salim lose every day? Nothing. Moist Boys, nothing. Offended, blah 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 blah. You're not actually hurting gangs, and your PD is there to control your economy.
Absolutely, it is, for sure. And I think that's where detectives really come into the forefront. Detectives are the guys who should be designing the downfall of these groups, and then your pursuit units and your tactical response units, your SWAT, whatever that ends up becoming, your cops with fucking bigger guns. They're the people who actually go out and do it and do the thing, right? And they actually set these gangs back. I think the solution is to make it so that essentially you get to make a choice. If you're going to be a Salim and you're going to have, $400,000 of debt, then you can't buy houses. You can't buy anything other than, you can't even get a U-Tool, because that only takes card, right? And so you can buy food in Up and Atom and from convenience stores, and actually, no, maybe you can only buy it from Up and Atom, because convenience stores only take card, and you can't buy houses, you can't buy cars, you can't buy weapons, you can't do this, that, you can't do this, that, the third. And so you start to restrict those people in a way that means that someone like Salim, who wants to go on and create content and chaos, can still do that. But he's really severely limited in the other things that he wants to do.
And then on the flip side, it's so tricky then, because then, like you say, who are we to, especially Salim, who are we to affect his content at the same point? Do you know what I mean? It's so tricky.
Roleplay, and I think this is where I come from, a server that is like serious RP, and I think time to, they say they're intricate, deep levels of roleplay. That comes first. If someone's got to go down for 400 months, they've got to go down for it. And unfortunately, I'm sorry, bud, you can graph that off stream and you can come back tomorrow. And that's such an awful thing to have to say to other content creators, but that is the truth of it.
I do agree. I flipped with Abdul earlier. So, because I was doing everything by the book, I wanted to have some fun, and he was begging for it. And all right, yeah, he's a big streamer, and he's very pleasant in the
what
sales.
A role player.
So I thought, all right, let's make this fucking interesting. I will flip you. If I win, you're in there for 5 months. No, if you win, you're in there for 5 months. If you're not, I'm adding Oxy on top. You're going for 90. Yeah. Now, I won. So, but then Tony Drag was with me, dialed it down to 15.
Yeah.
It's sweet, but the intensity was, Abdul needs to take that bet to go, this is very interesting for my viewers for 2 minutes. If I win, awesome.
Yeah.
If I lose, fuck. But that 5 minutes of a like a dice roll is intense as shit, isn't it?
But in my opinion, it's worth it. And Abdul in particular is someone, like, I've gone into his stream and I chat with him, and he said to me, I want Rupert to be more of a cunt to Abdul. Like, be tough on me and on him and take me to the wire, because those moments are fun. That's what creates fun for me. And role players over content creators accept the consequences of those actions. And I think the issue maybe at times is we have too many content creators who aren't role play focused. And so when you come up against someone like me who is role play focused, and I try and make content in my role play, you're gonna feel as though I don't value you or your experience, because I'm trying to give you, like I say, a clear border, a clear space within which to be creative. And if you surprise me and step outside those bounds, then there are consequences in all sorts of different ways for that.
I think as well, Pete, and in the moment, so let's say, for example, you're raiding us. In the moment, you're like, shit. But even myself and many others, you never sit there and go, well, my viewers have just gone up fucking 200. What matters is, and I said this, I think it's the HQ, what matters IRL is the cash that goes in your real fucking pocket, really.
Yeah.
So if you are being punished, if you are at war, there's more money going in your IRL pocket.
No doubt whatsoever. Yep.
You should, and I do it myself. During the time, you're like, shit, fuck. How can afterwards? You should just appreciate the views that came from that shit show.
Precisely.
And I think we do need more. And like the pressure of Saf, it's intense, but there is no one like it.
And the viewers love it.
The viewers
love it. They love
everywhere
it.
Everywhere you go.
Yeah.
Fuck, he's there.
Yeah.
And you're like,
that's what I want, though. But that's what I want for that character. Like, I want, it's I don't know. Maybe I'm just a massive egotist, but it's so satisfying. It is so wonderfully satisfying.
No,
this idea that people have to try harder and put more effort in, and that they have to role play to a higher standard because I showed up. But that's what the police are there to do.
I'm on the same page as you, and I have to admit, if you send someone down for 5 months, again, people might look at me the same, like, fine, call me, I've got an ego. I would get more satisfaction knowing it was like 100.
Yeah.
But I would have to make sure I'd done my job correctly.
So for me, I said this today a lot in roleplay, because we're going through this process at the moment. We're talking about it a lot, and I said this about Curtis, his character, before. We're having a lot of things at the moment where PD are actively just removing charges from people, right?
Yeah.
So if you stab 5 cops, you might only get charged for stabbing 1 cop because we feel like we're being nice. But I think we're really not doing the integrity of the role play any favors.
No, you're not.
And I don't care how long you spend in prison, right? If we go to hospital for an hour and then we come back to cells, we argue, we get the lawyer down, and that's 2 hours, and I take 120 months off for time served, I'm happy to do that. But I want you to get all of the charges, because I want your character to face the consequences of every action they did outside of how long you spend in prison and how much fine you get. Because it means that when you try and get expunged in 30 days, I can show up at that courtroom as a cop and go, Your Honor, this guy stabbed 5 people. Not 1, 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's and then maybe you don't get expunged.
I think it makes people get smarter as well, doesn't it, with what they're doing?
But that's the point of police. That is the point.
If the risks are higher, people are going to actually stop. You're going to have less crime because people are going to be like, fuck. Which is obviously isn't necessarily a good thing in terms of being a PD officer or being a crim. But it also makes it cuts out this mindless, like, no spike strips, no this, oh, my nan's dead. It cuts all that shit out because you know you're going to get more than 10 months and an £800 fine. What's 10 minutes? What's 10 minutes of your time?
Nothing.
Go and make a cup of tea.
Yeah.
That's it.
And that's what people do.
That's what I do.
And, you know, and I'm maybe as guilty as this as anyone. Like, was two things. Firstly, you know, people take shortcuts and stop role playing to make life easier. Rupert has 50 ice creams in his pocket. I don't go buy a meal every individual time I'm hungry. I carry food because it's easier. I take that shortcut. In the same way that we have, you know, you run into crims and you search them, they've got 11,000 prison meals on them.
Yeah,
that's weird.
11,000, a bit straight weird, right? Simply put,
I saw it the other day and I was like, what am I looking at?
And it's just like, people are going to keep taking shortcuts. So I've started trying to make it so that I find my fun and find my competition in doing it with the people that are trying to be competitive about roleplay. And again, that's why I love the lawyer stuff, because if I get you banged to rights and Mickey and Solomon can't get you out of anything, like they look at it and they go, yeah, I mean, are you going to be nice on the time? That to me is the win. Not the chase, not the arrest. No, the chases are fun. I enjoy them. The PD cars at the moment, I don't think are great, but you know, they're good in some ways, really rubbish in others. And it makes chasing actually not fun because you're fighting the limitations of the way that currently is set up. But my competition and my win chase at the moment, as it were, well, the win I want to chase is that lawyer opens that MDT and goes, fuck, I can't do anything, plead guilty. That's what I care about right now. That's where I'm finding my fun.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Which is good. Because like say, too many people are just, just bow down to him. But I think on the flip side of that as well, I think PD needs something to lose. They do. I think everything is just given to them. If I go and get robbed, I can just go back and get another gun, write a report, brush under the carpet.
This is very, very hard in a server to do, but they had it from the start, whereas you paid for your own repairs. But most people could keep up with it. But it
was a struggle at one point. It was a struggle at one point.
I don't know the answer to this.
Yeah.
And this is kind of where I think you could bring the rep in so that you don't necessarily fuck up everything you can do, but you're not able to push on it. So there needs to be something, whether it's court cases or something. There's a way for PD to grow rep very, very small, or I don't know. You hand in a certain amount of weapons.
I know what you're trying to say. I think that really ultimately police roleplay is a whitelisted job. And so we have to have this expectation, understanding that the roleplay we expect from them is greater. And so the value of their possessions, lives, all those things is just implied by the fact that they have a job in PD to begin with. And so we should be expecting them to do so in their very action, in the very core of their roleplay. When you create a police character, if you agree that you're going to be this facilitator of roleplay, I think it should be implied that you're also going to therefore aggressively value your life, value your kit, value your safety, value those things. And if you're not doing that in a really kind of heinous way, then you're just undermining the integrity of that kind of roleplay bargain to begin with.
But I think that's what's happening. It's not, or should I say, I think that is what's not happening.
I don't think it ever will, though.
No, I think it's very hard because it's
expectations so high, and like
not everyone is a good role player, and that is the pure plain fact of it.
Yep.
You know, some people, you know, like myself, only have a couple of hours of an evening. Jump in, do what I need to do. It's fun for me. It's fun for everyone else.
Yeah.
I take it seriously, but not your too seriously. Yeah, and I think that's where the levels are different between. If I get robbed, I get robbed. I'm going to be pissed, but I don't lose anything.
Yeah.
You as a character lose things. You lose your pride, you lose this, whatever it may be, you know. And I think it's just finding that balance between the casuals and the full-timers, so to speak.
Yeah, for sure.
It's
impossible as well. Go on, Cosney.
One thing I do try and promote to everyone, and we say this a lot to people in the gang, OOC, we say you are in a movie. whether you like it or not, you are in a movie and you might not be the main character, but you are assisting someone who is. And also from another point of view, be the main character, make your own movie.
Yeah, sure.
If you're playing Time 2 with the level of people you have, get a fucking webcam and turn a stream on.
Oh, absolutely.
And earn a couple of pennies. You get raided by Angry Ginge, you're going to shit your pants, change your life, and I think a raid off Angry Ginge will bring you a couple £100 if it's done properly.
Yep.
Who wouldn't want to open up the opportunity to that?
That's crazy. Think about that for a second. Like Angry Ginge raids you. You're an affiliate on Twitch because you've done the, I don't think it's possible for anyone to stream Time 2, be a role player and play a good character and try and create role play and not get affiliated on Twitch. It's impossible.
100%, yeah.
If you can't do that, and you're watching this at the end of October and you're streaming Time 2 to 0 viewers, reach out. We'll help you. And reach out to any content creator in Time 2, and I promise they will help you get over that barrier to understanding, kind of what content creation is. And so, and it's not hard. And then just keep at it and learn. It's a skill.
Chippy's podcast was really good for it because you're taking advice from a professional actor, and I think even myself, I stepped away from that. Like, wow, like
he gets it.
His mindset is unreal, and however successful I am, I looked at him like, wow, like his advice is great. What with this, and you can self-insert yourself into roleplay so easily. And his advice was brilliant for many people. And I think from a point of this as well, is like, be a streamer because you will take your roleplay so much more seriously.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's more.
And you make fucking money. You make money.
That too. Even if you make, £65 a month from streaming on Twitch and it's a bit of something on the side, you were probably playing roleplay anyway. If it makes you a better role player, makes you have more fun, you make a bit of cash, means that you can, get yourself a new GPU in time, then and fund yourself having a better system, then literally, why not? And for me as a content creator, like I always want to improve. Like I'm constantly, for me, this is a skill. It's an art form. I when I'm trying to explain to people who don't understand it, I say I'm like a radio presenter, but there's a camera in my face, right?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to improve at that art form every single day.
Yeah.
And a big part of that a lot of the time is going, do you know what? I did it today this afternoon. I was like, I'm not feeling it, guys. I'm sorry. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to come back in a few hours because it wasn't there for the day, So,
and I think like you say, we are professionals. It's our job. We are professional. We're paid to do what we do.
Yep.
But you have to be very humble. You'll never be the best.
Nope.
And no matter how big of a streamer you are, no matter how good, it's always good to say you can always learn more and be better for yourself,
absolutely,
your viewers, and everyone around you.
So true. This idea of like reaching a ceiling in your content and whatever, like it just doesn't exist. It's just like another rung on the ladder. Like you've just got to keep striving and to be better and to learn off other people and just absorb, right? Because and there's no better place for it right now, I don't think, in the UK, like collaborative streaming space than something like Time 2, because roleplay is great for it because you're around other people doing it who are making it work and making it happen. And so, you got to get out there.
It's scary that people don't realize it's literally life-changing. It can be life-changing. You join Moist Boys, your life's changed.
Yep.
Simple as that. Do you know what I mean? If you wiggle into that gang, look at the numbers that they hit. And I wish some people in roleplay would understand that.
I think the stunning thing as well, it's so powerful. I think the stunning thing as well is actually like looking at the guys who are in that gang. I don't want to say all of them, but like looking at like the roster, as it were. I think there are so many of them there who it doesn't seem cynical to me, is what I'm trying to say. Is there's no one there who's quote clout chasing. It seems to me as though it is literally a case of like these are like-minded people that are content forward and content focused, and so they naturally gravitated towards one another. And now they've created a group of people that they create and they create probably some of, if not the best content on the server. And that is echoed in the fact that not a one of them, when they're in the middle of something, doesn't have less than 500 people watching them do it.
Yeah.
The viewers talk. They walk, they vote with their mouse, and they or their finger, and they tap on that streamer. And that's how they vote. That is their vote of confidence.
And this is like another thing, like with yourself, when what was it, you shot someone or whatever. The viewers also need to understand a PD officer's glorified to be in that position to be able to arrest Ginge.
Yep.
What's his name? Is it Moonhead?
Moonhead. Yeah,
he's doing very well.
Incredibly well. He deserves it.
But if you're on PD, you're naturally going to want to push them as well because of the viewers. Like, I want to fuck your guy up.
I enjoy taking those people to task and having those high intensity roleplay sits with them in the same way that I enjoy doing it with someone like you, or with, or the kind of, who I would quote as like the more serious organized crime gang people. So the guy who's the leader of my gang actually hasn't been in the server yet, but his name's Ads, and he played a guy called Adam Mazzetti on UG, and he is a fantastic, incredible top level kind of like gang and OCG role player, and it's crime, right? And so I enjoy role playing with people like him and people like you and Solomon as much as I enjoy role playing with people like Ginge. And for me, yes, okay, views are crazy. If I take Ginge to task and I get 300 people come and watch me for the rest of the night, then that's great, absolutely. But more importantly as well, it stretches me because people watch him because his style, because he's funny, and because he does interesting things. And so my reaction to those is that they're therefore also going to hopefully be interesting and engaging.
You just made you just made me think then, like we said about PD, they have all their equipment. It just brainstormed me actually from a crim point of view, where you say PD have all this equipment, so it's upon them to be a good role player and value their shit.
Yeah.
It's the same respect for criminals. So if I sell 3 PD Glocks, I should not be doing that on my block. I should be traveling to
I agree.
the docks.
You should be treating that roleplay situation with the integrity that it deserves, or having the integrity to treat it with the severity it deserves.
Yeah, and this is why I love. I love these episodes because I improve off of everyone, and then like Chippy. Afterwards, I don't get the time to think, to be honest, with the hours that I do. So this is awesome because afterwards, Chippy gave me stuff to think, right, how can I improve my character? And then like yourself now, you're now giving me the thought, right, stop being so sloppy.
Yeah, make it harder for me. Make it
harder not even make it harder. Do my role properly.
Yeah. Absolutely.
If I want to sell firearms, I shouldn't tell you to come to my fucking block. I should go, right, meet me at the docks.
Yeah.
I'll bring a briefcase, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, or it's dead drops, or it's this, that, the third. And okay, I think there's, and we talked about this earlier about breadcrumbs, right? It's important to do it in a way that leaves some room for error, for user error, to make a mistake and for it to go wrong. I think that's important. You can make that margin quite small. And maybe you should make that margin quite small because
that's annoying as well. I've always done it. I always think about the other people, but you always look fucking stupid when you do leave breadcrumbs and you want people to somewhat. But from a viewership, you look thick.
Yeah,
and that's annoying because you want to give something for them to be able to assist their role play.
I pride myself. It's something that, particularly, a great example being when the Ginge hop happens. I don't know if it's happened to you yet, but if you're in a direct, it's happened to you. It's tough.
In no pixel.
Yeah.
I
you had Mr. K in the back of your car or something?
No,
right?
I had kidnapped Beetle.
Yeah.
It was very good. Angry Ginge was chasing me, and I swam away from him.
Yeah.
I had 1,000 people going, it's not realistic you can swim that far. If you dare F8 quit, and bearing in mind, this is my fucking life.
I've been there. Do you know what I mean? With Ginge over the last few months, I've been there. You know what I mean?
And Ginger's an owner here.
Yeah.
So you're there and you got 1,000 people, and in the moment you're like, I'm done.
Yeah, of course.
Luckily, Ginge is very realistic, and It's nothing to do with him whatsoever. But yeah, in that moment with that 1,000 people, you are like,
stressed.
what have I done?
But again,
It's
I
not
pride
nice.
myself in that moment in like not closing up or going on the defensive. I almost go on the attack. Like I want to turn those people who are critics and who are chat hoppers. There's a good percentage of them. Let's say 35% of them, 40% of them that can't be saved. Right?
I've seen you do it. You're actually very, very good at it.
I reckon 60% of chat hoppers are one good quip away from becoming a long-term viewer.
Yeah, you're right.
60% of chat hoppers, and I say that to any streamer, I would say around that 50-60% of any chat hopper that comes in and has the balls to type a message, you can convert them into a long-term viewer. You can convert them into a subscriber. You can make money off their chat hop.
And they can be more loyal than someone that's genuinely found your channel. You are 100%. If someone comes in kicking off, I kick off all the time because I'm tired as fuck. But if I'm not, and I say, all right, and I saw you exactly, someone come in and give you shit, and you went, mate, I'm listening. I don't agree with you. You're welcome in, and mate, you went, oh, I appreciate that. And it's as easy as that.
Yep.
And every viewer is important. No matter how many viewers you're on, every single person is important.
No, so true. And I think like that's the advice that I'd give to someone who's streaming to one person is that like, and it's something I think I've forgotten a bit recently, but saying this now, I'm going to go back to it, is your inner monologue as a streamer needs to become your external monologue, because someone who's watching and not typing wants to know what you're thinking, because that way they can humanize your decision making, and then that's how they grow attachment to you. So
you're really right on it, because that's one thing on YouTube that is key to YouTube videos is, so if you put your YouTube on there, you voice over, Saf was heading down to the firm. Saf believes that you don't showcase it, you narrate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're actually onto something here as well. So don't just drive down to the firm block. Chat.
Talk about it. Yeah.
Rupert now is going to, and you're onto a good thing. And again, I appreciate it, because that's a good bit of advice. If I say, right, let's go and kidnap some cops, I need to go to the chat. We're going to go and find some cops now, and we're going to send them a message to say this is on behalf of Rupert.
Yeah.
So, like you say, and that's some awesome advice, that is. So, yeah, the people that aren't typing can go, what is he thinking?
And then but also on top of that, then they get, but then it's about enticing engagement, right? And so you can then you're doing two things, right? Firstly, you're inviting them into your thought process, which feels good for them. Secondly, you are enticing them to engage, because you can say things like, what if they pull guns? Like, what do we do then, chat? Chat, what do we do? Right? And then someone goes in chat, oh, why don't you get units to wait around the corner? Right?
Yeah.
And it's like, Matt was probably in my brain anyway. And so like within reason, I'm not talking about like fully metagaming stuff that's been said in chat. But I'm talking about, within reason of like, of what was already in my thought process and what I was already talking about. Then a lot of times it's like, oh, that's a great idea. Or if it is something, someone has an absolute blinder and there's no way I thought of it, you turn around and you go, oh, mate, I can't do that now, but that's such a good idea. I wish I could do that. Damn.
See,
and then I'll do that. And then you say, I'll do that next time.
I struggle with, I don't like meta. I do struggle with backseat gaming on, it's a really tricky one because you're in a role play experience. But if your chat puts something into your head that is good and it's beneficial for everyone, I don't have the power to say this, so I'm just speaking out loud on friends talking now, but fuck it. You should be able to run with it.
I think when we talk about like white lies, we talk about white meta. I think it's probably the way to describe it. And I know that that probably sounds like really like charged to say like white something, but just run with that and say like, I don't know. That's a good example. Like you could have units like wait around the corner, like is maybe a good example. Or or remember when he said that, and then you can bring it up and you can spice up and add something to that conversation and put that person on the back foot. But it's not good to go, you didn't search him. He's not come.
Yeah. And for anyone watching this, don't fucking come in our chats. And
you didn't cuff him. If I didn't cuff him, good. Let him get up and
let him run.
To give you the example of the crowbar, I wish that was on purpose. It was an accident. I thought I clicked on it.
I genuinely thought that was on purpose.
If that was on purpose, that would have been top 10 Saphirici coldest moments ever. If you pulled that crowbar on me.
That suited you.
Yeah.
That's
well,
why
I'm glad that I'm that
your
in your head that you
fuck up
thought that. Yeah.
No, I genuinely thought you would never in a million years do that.
I just missed it.
And
you like the 6 hours, I missed it.
But no, but that was when I could tell in your voice you were like, seriously. I was like, I don't fucking believe him. He's too good of a role player. He's lying.
No, seriously, I missed it. Yeah.
I think any other criminal as well would have hit you with it.
I would have gotten for that as well.
And that's what you want.
It's a happy medium, you know. I don't necessarily want it, you know. But like, if you make that decision, then you're going to get the consequence afterwards.
Yeah, no.
I don't think that character, like, you know, he's holding on to this idea of like PD keep fucking up, and I'm going to keep playing off that. And it's like, if you then do that direct action in a police station, that's out the window. Like, it's game over then at that point. And
I know that I'm coming to the. So I don't know if you saw what happened to me the other day. I spent 2 hours looking for cops.
Yeah.
And this is like back to the narrative thing. I told them what I was doing. I said, chat, I'm really sorry. Everyone was like, no, it's sweet. We are waiting for you to get him. When I finally got him, there was someone in the car. It was a fuck up, blah, blah, blah. I got spiked straight away.
You know, he was on his sergeant eval, this poor cadet. He failed.
It
was a cadet. He failed his sergeant eval because he spiked you as you left, and when the agreement was over.
Yes, he was. Yeah,
he was on his sergeant eval, and he failed it for spiking you. And then they told me that they let you go. And OOC and IC, I'm against that. I
put my hands up as well.
And I think that you should have been charged, but. And this is the thing, is that it opens up like things like a Hell Week. Like a Hell Week can be a good thing for roleplay. If you can turn around and articulate to every other gang and say, these bastards broke negotiations and spiked me, enough's enough. That levels, you know, raises the heat of the game within the server and within the roleplay of the community.
I have my plan for that anyway. And obviously, you know, I want to take people one by one and say that's for Rupert.
Yeah.
Enough for higher command to go, Rupe, people are dying. And then I've got that pumped shotgun. I want that to shoot someone because PD don't really know that that's there, do they? I know they know there's
I don't have
a
an
class
answer for you. I think they know it exists because if they went to where it was shot, because there was one that was shot, if they went there and looked at the projectile, as in the impact, it would probably have said this came from a shotgun.
They know there's class 2s. They've witnessed a class 2 shot because I was there. But that in my eyes, that makes things interesting for them to go, right. The warning is Rupert. Now there's shotguns here. Realistically, we can't compete with that. What do we? And I just think that's the route that I'm trying to go down, and I'm taking my time.
I think it's really important for like, I think in police roleplay, for people to understand that like action and consequence is important, but I don't think that, and this is kind of my opinion, I don't think that we should like conflate like cops doing their job, quote unquote.
Yeah.
With like, we should stop doing that because gangs are going to do what gangs are going to do. And so there's a big difference between me coming down to your block and calling you a pussy and you shooting me, right? And whether or not you know, if it happens again, I come down there and I call you pussy and you shoot me. That is knee-jerk response, knee-jerk action. But if you run a money washing business and I come and close it and you decide to go and start kidnapping cops and saying this is for Rupert, well, Rupert just led an investigation. Rupert didn't break the law to do it. If Rupert crossed the line, it's different.
Do you know my gun didn't work the other day?
No, I know, you told me. Yeah. I popped in your chat afterwards.
I bet.
And you must have been raging.
I went to shoot you first, and I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I didn't.
Mine didn't either. So I'm sat in the car, first person.
Yeah, it must be fate. It must be fate.
Gun in his hand, and I look left, and it won't break the window for some reason. And then I'm like, well, I can't see him to shoot him. So I can't left click. I have to put my hands up.
And I was hearing that
I can't defend myself.
I was hearing that Colt on stream was saying this is awesome. This has been played so well, and I'm sat there thinking,
you have no idea how
technically I should have shot him, so I haven't played this well. Then when you drove off, I tried to shoot again.
I know, yeah.
I had a long day, and I know how passionate you are. I know that if you had been domed, you would be right. Where do we go? If I had shot you and you had permed, I would have permed with you.
Interesting. I actually came close to perming, and you were on the roof opposite watching. And I've never been closer to it. I don't know if I'll ever perma Rupert. I think he's kind of synonymous with me in streaming at the moment, and I've got places that I really want to go. I've never really done actually done high command with Rupert before. I really do want to do that and experience that and develop the character in that position. He'll never be corrupt. Sorry, guys watching. He'll never be corrupt.
I think that's fucking... This is why I don't necessarily want to come for Rupert, because the story... if I come and shoot you, the story is kind of... It comes to a climax. Yeah. This is why I want... The other day, I wanted to hit cadets and a senior got took out, but I want to hit cadets and build up.
Mm-hmm.
And like, the day that you bust me, I want it to be the case of I find you then. That is when we ideally go for Rupert, because we have built up for that. But I know how passionate you are, whether you are, but because I know that there is a possibility you could perma, if it's unreal, I am responsible for your streaming career technically. And that's a lot of pressure, because I know how much of a good role player you are. So that is why the other day you pissed me off, so I was going to shoot you, but
I'm less likely to shoot to clerk someone in that scenario if I know that. I agree with what you're saying. It does affect my role play for sure. I don't ever want to be in that situation. Gang turf defense. Like, I don't think anyone should. For me personally, you're not adding to role play as a gang member or a gang leader. If PD come and raid you and you decide to perma and you get shot, because it's like they're doing their job. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, if essentially a permadeath should try and get someone an M charge. That's it. If you're not trying to get someone a murder charge, at minimum, why are you perming? That's my
I do agree. Yeah, like imagine if you walk down the beach and get stabbed because someone's trying to rob you and you go perma. Like, what?
I played a one lifer. Did you know that on my subathon? I did a drinking one lifer stream.
And how long did it last?
92 minutes.
That's probably pretty good.
That's pretty good. Yeah. So I went out with I got in, I was bouncing about and I was playing this character, and I set up with these two guys to rob someone, and we were going to scam them out of dirty rolls and rob them. And we did it. And to make sure there was risk and it was fair, we took the actual money with us to this alleyway, and this guy showed up with his cash, and we had the dirty rolls on us, and we robbed him. Now, it turns out he was a runner for Frontline, who were coming after me within about 11 seconds. And I said it was a one-lifer character. I chanced driving, and I got shot in the head 6 times. Dead. Perfect.
Do you know what I would like to see? I don't believe we have undercovers, and I don't want to know if there is or isn't. Please do not tell me.
Yeah, you'll find out.
I would like to see more stings, because selling a water pistol and dirty rolls again, and
dead.
I will take a lot from this podcast, and I'm sure we will get 500 views easy.
Yeah.
I hope everyone else takes stuff away from this and starts valuing stuff. I remember Tyrone MC. You must know Tyrone. You must don't
Tyrone 1 MC. Isn't
Tyrone 1 MC in Unique. You know,
Unique.
So I joined. Seriously, I never played it. I never watched it.
No, but you don't know who Tyrone is.
He's a guy. He's a streamer.
Never heard of him.
Good size. It's about 1,500 viewers.
And it would surprise you how out of the loop with like modern content I am. Like
Tyrone's is like
I couldn't name the Sidemen.
I can. No, I can.
You know what I mean? Like I couldn't. Yeah. And like someone had to explain to me what Girth and Turth was 4 days ago.
Yeah, no, I'm the same as you.
Like I'm very out the loop of it, and like I've been in my bubble for a long time, and I'm only just expanding that bubble with time too now. I almost joined Unique, actually. I joined their PD way before like the explosion happened and Ginge started playing there. I got into their PD and then I loaded on and I was like, this feels tacky to me. Those server-sided roads make me want to throw my computer out the window. It's not for me. And I let
Tyrone's like the biggest in there. But anyway, this was something I saw ages ago. I don't know if he still maintains it, but someone wanted like two bags of cocaine. He was literally like, mate, he goes, give us the cash. He's like, no, keep it down. Like, and I think like people like that as well, and I suppose content creators give it a level, but we should all really start appreciating that more, like valuing the stuff from it.
So true. Have the integrity to value the severity of what you're doing in roleplay. I think that's really important. But please leave breadcrumbs, because there are people out there, whether they're undercover, whether they're not, whether they're the other gangs. You know, if you go and do an action against another crew, please leave breadcrumbs. And if it turns out to be the case that those other people, we talked about it kind of back in management and senior admins where I was before, there are people in roleplay who don't have question marks in their roleplay, and essentially they're not roleplaying. If they take the information that they have in and out of character and they just use it to like ham fist and target their way towards what they know to be the correct outcome, they're not role-playing. They're not role-playing with question marks, and therefore they're not role-playing. And so leave breadcrumbs, and if someone leaves you breadcrumbs, don't like better game that, as it were, in order to just force through to the conclusion that you want. That's not the answer.
I was gutted with Fumble the other day after, we all know it was a fucking shootout. That could have gone so far. I could have genuinely been a forced corrupt officer.
You could have been a payrolled corrupt officer. Yeah.
And I would have respected them and I wish they ran with that.
Yes,
they fucked it. And I would have honored that respect, and that could have gone on for months.
Would you say, here's a question, did your character get used as a pawn by Solomon in his quest to get Colt on side? There's a thought. Are you part of a bigger picture that maybe hasn't come to fruition yet, and you've been that character has been tossed aside because it's more important to those other role players that they maybe start to turn Colt, for example, if that's what they're doing?
Yes, but I think
that just sucks for you, though.
I would, from my point of view, obviously it's against me, but we have to remember what that could have destroyed. Okay, I've got a heavy crim character, and RP is RP, but that nearly fucked me. How I made up all that bollocks in prison yesterday, I do not know.
It's not just that as well.
Waffle I have ever seen.
There's a lot of waffle, but also it's the same classic thing of like PD made mistakes, right?
And I had to latch on it.
And you had to latch on it, and you've managed to latch on it kind of over and over again. But slowly we're closing those loops, and those mistakes are happening less and less and less. And even in the big sits, in the big deal things, we're getting to the point now in PD where it's like, no, we did our jobs. And unfortunately, slowly but surely we're getting to the point where that isn't going to work anymore, I think.
I get what you're saying now, though, because O'Malley has now, like you say, Solomon's bigger picture was down to my downfall, but now P. Diffie's job is to push as much pressure to O'Malley's way for what he done to him.
Yeah.
So anything he does now, so like Diffie now is recording everything police does wrong. There was a fight outside the car park earlier with Hemford.
Yeah.
Obviously, Hemford in roleplay is very good friends with Diffie.
Yeah.
But he now is recording everything. So, and it's not the case of using it, but I want Diffie to be protected, and I can go, well. But
I don't. Sure, but it's about doing it the right way, because I don't think there's a world in which you get brought in on something and they go, hey, look, last chance, you're done, and you go, yeah, but this happened, but that happened, and they didn't, and this didn't, and they didn't. Rupert would turn around and say, we're not talking about them today.
Yeah. I do agree.
One thing and you crossed it.
One thing I do think as well, and I can only speak on my own benefit. For people like me, I think PD, you have SOPs, but punish rather than remove. Like there should be ways.
You can do it so many times, though, can't you? You can before it's like we're. And it can only come to the detriment of like the rest of PD so many times before you go, actually, can we do this anymore? Like, can we allow this person to keep kind of taking the piss, essentially?
I do. I think with Crim, you have your cat Salim. He's always the number one example. Salim has special benefits, doesn't it? And I'm not saying I deserve them, but it could be any other. Just because someone's in PD, do they not deserve that leeway that criminals do because of the character that they've made? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it also depends, because like if we use the Peter Dith example, right? How can we let someone, obviously like PD fucked up, etc. How can we possibly let someone who got caught having a shootout with someone stay being a cop, other than we fuck up and we can't charge them? That is the only way where we can, and that's probably like a good example of like essentially that's corruption. And it's like outside of corruption, we should do everything we can to keep you in your job.
Yeah.
If you do that, we can't help you.
from my point of view, again, and I'm just talking about myself, because I didn't murder corruption, yes, but I didn't murder someone and water dump them. I think there should be leeway to anyone, and so I think you should go to town on them and punt. I don't know. Here's a push bike or that
yeah, but you're saying that, but if nobody went to town on you, you wouldn't have had the RP you've had for the last 2 days.
Here's the solution: you get fired, come back with a new character.
Yeah, but I like the P diffy. I think we have a security measure with Buckley, which is a last resort. We change my name, restructure my face, and I come back as Peter Diff. So as a BCSO, that is our scapegoat right now, so we don't lose P Diffy. But yeah, no, I like the character. I'm taking Chippy's advice, and I am forming this character. And again, I actually really enjoyed doing Diffy on my own. I loved going around. I love letting people off. Really
again. You have to go and earn that now, though, right? This is the thing. Yeah. That character's been through that experience, so now they need to go and earn the right to go back.
The worst thing is, now this is tough luck. I'm just speaking openly. I didn't want Diffy to be too serious, and now he's being forced to learn everything, do everything properly. I didn't want him to be that way, but rules are rules.
I think you have to know it in order to let them go.
Yeah,
because if you know it, you know where the wiggle room is, and that's the beauty of it. Is that if you learn it,
this is down to me to decide how can I fuck around without being intelligent, really, isn't it?
Precisely, and I think that intelligence allows you to fuck around more. Like being smarter allows you to do more dumb stuff and get away with it. And so that's like having cheat sheets and reading cheat sheets and using them means that that's a good example. I think someone said like you don't want to use cheat sheets on.
I didn't know. My tests, I don't use them because I want.
Not on a test, but like in general for learning. Like you said, you didn't want to.
Yeah, no. I try not to. Yeah, because I want it to be authentic.
I get that. I hear that. But like I say, if it provides you with wiggle room like that. That is kind of the thing. Like if you are at least able to turn around to someone and say, "Hey, look, I'm trying to go by the book, and it didn't quite work out this time." Yeah, then it is a lot easier than being like, "Oh, I just went off on my own fucking plan,"
Yeah. No, I get you. So with like the future of with PD, how do you want it to end up? What do you want?
What do I want from PD long term? I think. You asked this question right at the beginning. I think
I want a more of a
straight answer.
Yeah, at the end, where do you want? Do you want it serious by the book, so that
I want all of it. I want all of it. I want all of it. I want the ability for people to be silly and to do dumb stuff. I want there to be a core of serious cops who know their shit and get the fun out of winning in court more than winning in a shootout. But I also want people that enjoy chases to be able to come on and do that stuff. I want people to be able to do. I want all of it. That's my end goal for PD. Is I want all of it.
You want all of it.
I want to win. I want to lose. I want to. I want all of those things to happen. I want them just to happen organically, and I want it to be, weak in some ways and strong in others, and flow and have, arguments and conflict and all that stuff happening, but just not. Right now, it just feels disjointed. I want it to feel connected, like a whole, rather than disjointed.
Well, I do think I have to respect you massively because your character is good, and you have made a character for people to hate you, and a lot of viewers cannot separate that.
Yeah.
So you've put yourself in a fucking hell of a position, really, from your own choice.
Yeah, I love it.
I do think it is going your way as well, which is good.
Yeah.
You've made an arsehole, but the arsehole is very funny. Yeah. Which normally arseholes aren't.
No, for sure. But I think also ultimately he creates Rupert he creates clear boundaries, and he's consistent with it. Like if he tells you he's going to do something, he's going to do it.
Yeah.
And so it's like he's not a chaotic arsehole. Chaotic arseholes are a problem, right?
Yeah.
He is an arsehole, a lawful arsehole. You know what I mean? And so even if he might break the law, he still has a code, as it were, and he'll stick to that. He'll run to that. And so
I liked it the other day how intense it was and how pissed off I was that you were there. Then you just drive away and call me a pussy, and I couldn't.
It's so good.
I couldn't hold it. I couldn't. I'm so serious. I'm so fucked off with you.
Yeah, of course.
You didn't know what to do.
You go pussy, and I break my whole character. Yeah. I'm like, did he just call me a? I have to respect you.
Yeah,
you have made it really, really good. And like you say, I hope he only gets better.
I'm hoping he does too. We're still learning. We're still growing. We're still doing more. Like I say, I've never got the chance to do like high command with him. That's what I want to do. I want to be, a captain again. I want to be chief, whatever that looks like. I want to do that because I want to be able to then take Rupert and turn around to someone like Cosney King in server and go, hey, I'm not coming for you anymore. It's not my job. They are.
Yeah.
I'm setting the dogs on you and they're coming. So like, I want to be able to do that instead,
Yeah.
And then I can sit back on those scenes and show up to your block and just stand by my car soaking a cigar while they raid you. And you can look over there and just know.
Such an ass. It's
not me. So that's the goal. Yeah.
Well, Saf, thank you very, very much for coming on. Really, really appreciate it. It's been good fun. And episode will be on Tuesday.
Cool.
And just keep doing what you're doing and
thanks, man. I appreciate you guys. You too. The role play is great.
Pissing people off.
I will do.